So we're continuing Mirz Hashem today in Siman Kuf Yud Aleph, chapter 111, Halacha Yud, Halacha 10. Achar Bedika miyad yivat lanu. So after you finish Bedikas Chametz, you should do bittul Chametz immediately. Ve'ikar bittul hu b'leiv. The most important part of bittul is ikar bittul b'leiv means that the primary concept of bittul is intentionality. Meaning what? Shigmar b'liba shakol chametz shebeshuso harihu ki'ilu eino ve'eino chashav klum v'harihu kimo afar u'bedavar she'en bo tzorech klal. The idea of bittul, right? The idea of bittul is that you make chametz hefker. You make it like nothing. It's ownerless. It's as meaningless to you as the dust of the earth. Now, obviously, bittul only works if you actually feel that way. In other words, this is the one area, not the one area in Halacha, but one of the areas in Halacha where lip service is not enough. A person actually has to have the specific intent. Now, interestingly enough, that's why Chazal said it's not enough just to think it, but you actually have to say it, and that's why we say the text of Kol Chamira. We'll see again at the end of the Siman, we'll see the whole text of Kol Chamira. But essentially, Kol Chamira says any chametz that I have in my rishus, that I know about, that I don't know about, ultimately should become hefker, should become totally ownerless like the dust of the earth. And therefore, misha eno yodea perusho yomar b'lashon shuhu mevin. And that's why very important that if you don't know the meaning of the words, let's say a person doesn't understand the meaning of the section of Kol Chamira, a person just doesn't know the whole thing. So then halacha l'maaseh, it is so incredibly important that a person goes ahead and says it in a language you understand. So you could say Kol Chamira in English or in any other language that you understand. Halacha Yud Aleph 11. Even though one has done Bedikas Chametz at night after, right? I'm sorry. Even though one does bittul Chametz after the Bedika at night, you have to do a second bittul the next morning when you go out and you burn the chametz. Now, remember again, the reason for that is because, as we mentioned in yesterday's shir, the bittul you do on the night of Bedikas Chametz, the night of Erev Pesach, that really is supposed to cover chametz that you don't know about. Chametz that I just don't know about. Versus the Bedika that I do, the bittul that I do the morning when I'm burning the chametz, that represents chametz I do know about, right? I don't know about and I do know about. Because remember again, since at night a person's still going to be eating chametz, maybe even purchasing chametz. So therefore the only thing I want to relinquish ownership over is the stuff I don't know about. But by day, once I'm burning the chametz, then chametz becomes totally prohibited. Then I want to include all chametz, both the stuff I know about and don't know about. Incredible. We're going to skip the halachos, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, Yud Dalet and Tesvav, because it speaks more about making a place into a store, making an area into a storehouse for chametz, which is not a shayah for us. We're going to continue to Halacha Tes Zayin 16. Hayotzi l'derech kodem lechto. So a person's, let's say, traveling. A person is leaving their home before Pesach. So what's the halacha? So a person should appoint a shaliach, appoint an agent who's going to go ahead and check for chametz, right? Going to check his chametz and do bittul chametz for him. And ultimately, again, a person should say explicitly that I'm appointing the agent to go ahead and both do bidika and bittul. Now, interesting. Now he says over here, "Vashliach yomer bebittul chametz shaplon." Now, the agent, when he does the bittul, ultimately says, "I have in mind to relinquish ownership over the chametz of so and so." Now, this is very important. So this is just to give a little bit of context over here. So the Kitzur is talking about a very interesting case. He's talking about a situation where halacha l'maaseh, I'm leaving my house before Pesach, but the house is still going to be used. Chametz is still coming in and out, and therefore, again, I have to somehow rectify this situation. So that's where I appoint a shaliach to go out and take care of my chametz. But let's say in the more classic case, I'm leaving my house, and let's say again, no more chametz is coming into my house. So in that case, the halacha is that one does a bedika the night before they are leaving. Now this assumes that they're leaving within 30 days. If one's leaving within 30 days of Pesach, so one does a bedika the night before they leave. One does a bedika the night before they leave, and ultimately again, but does that bedika without a bracha. Without a bracha, and then halacha l'maisa again, they could do the bittul on Erev Pesach themselves. It's also important to point out that this case over here of where I'm having a shaliach do the bittul is dafka in a case where ultimately I'm having the shaliach do the bedika as well. So the shaliach's doing the bedika, therefore he does my bittul as well. But the Kitzur ends off and he says, Mikol mokom gam ba'asher husham be'erev Pesach baboker yibatel chametz b'shuso. But even so, wherever I am on Erev Pesach in the morning, I should do my own bittul as well, wherever I am. Okay, an interesting case. I don't know that case is as shayach, I don't know that case really happens as frequently either, but interesting as well. Okay, now take a look at Halacha Yud Zayin. This is the end of the siman. If you find chametz on Pesach in your home, so again, let's say if you find it on Chalamayid, you'll burn the chametz. If you find a lot of chametz, like a kezayis or more, then you'll make a bracha of al bir chametz and then you'll burn it. If it's less than a kezayis, then you still have to burn it, but you don't make a bracha. What happens v'matza b'yom tov or b'shabbos Chalamayid v'chein b'shabbos shechal b'erev Pesach das l'tatel mishum dehavi muktzah? What happens if you find the chametz on Yom Tov itself or on Shabbos, whether it's Shabbos Erev Pesach like we have this year, or Shabbos Chalamayid or Shabbos Yom Tov? So remember, chametz is muktzah. So because chametz is muktzah on Yom Tov and on Shabbos, it may not be moved. So what do you do with it if you find it? So he says, Yichpa alav kli ad matzah Yom Tov or matzah Shabbos v'az yisrafu. You cover it up until Matzah Shabbos or Matzah Pesach, and then you burn it. That is an interesting case. What if you find chametz on the last days of Pesach? Sha'az b'matzah Yom Tov kvar avar Pesach, einu mavarich alav, ela sofra b'lo bracha afil yesh bo kizayis. So remember again, so there are essentially three cases. Case number one is you find chametz on Chalamayid. Easy, you burn it. If it's a kizayis, you make a bracha and then you burn it. If it's not a kizayis, you just burn it without a bracha. If you find the chametz on Shabbos or Pesach, you cover it with a utensil and burn it after Shabbos or Pesach. And again, potentially again with a bracha as well. Depending, kizayis, not a kizayis. The interesting case is if you find the chametz on the last days of Yom Tov. So if you find the chametz on the last days of Yom Tov, the first opportunity you're going to have to go ahead and burn the chametz is when? On Matzah Yom Tov. Well, Matzah Yom Tov, it's no longer Pesach. So there's still an obligation to go in and burn the chametz, because as we'll discuss, there's another halacha of chametz sha'avar alav ha-Pesach, which is chametz owned by a Jew after Pesach, which is still prohibited. So halacha l'maisa, in that case, you'll burn it after Pesach, but you'll burn it without a bracha. All right, good. Shech, everyone, finish Siman Kuf Yud Aleph. We will continue Hashem tomorrow. Wishing everyone a wonderful day.